What's poppin', everybody? This is the Cartoon Kid, Ray Rollins, your average cartoon-loving homie. And today, man, we're doing a little something that's not normal here, man. We're reviewing an episode of The Simpsons, and it's a modern episode at that, man. We're talking about Season 32, Episode 9, called Sorry Not Sorry. Now, per usual, man, before I start breaking this episode down, I'm gonna have to give you guys that episode breakdown. So, this episode starts off with Homer and Lisa on the roof, basically talking about everything that's going on in life. And Lisa says she can't believe what happened to her at school. And what basically happens is, Lisa had a big project due, a big presentation. She does her presentation, and she ends up going over her time limit. Miss Hoover, being a teacher, decides to take the easy way out and hits everybody with a B-. So Lisa is upset at this because, you know, with her being a perfectionist, she wants the best grade possible. She feels that she put her hard work into the assignment and is deserving of a good grade, which would be an A or at least something better than a B-. So she gets so upset at Miss Hoover for this, she ends up chewing her a new ass, calling her a hack and whatnot. And as a result, Miss Hoover basically tells her, yo, apologize. Lisa doesn't want to do it. So Miss Hoover ends up hitting her with detention, and she basically wants to make Lisa's life a living hell. She even states it in this episode. So through the entire episode, Lisa is struggling with either apologizing to Miss Hoover or sticking to her morals. She basically attends this little apologist meeting, if you want to call it that, where people go to learn how to apologize to people. And this is where she basically learns that a good way of apologizing to people or being prepared to apologize is to spend some time in their shoes. So walk a mile in their shoes, as the saying goes, to basically empathize with a person, see what they go through, and see why they did what they did to you. Lisa ends up doing this. She ends up apologizing to Miss Hoover, and Miss Hoover taking the heel move, I guess you could say, using some wrestling terms here, taking the bitch move, that's better, and says, yo, why should I accept your apology? The damage has already been done. I can't get over it. Lisa even goes out of her way to buy her a nice, comfortable chair for her back. But anyway, like I said, Lisa basically ends up apologizing to Miss Hoover, and she does end up raising her grade to at least a B+, as well as all the other students, because she just loves the gift that Lisa gave her. But that's pretty much it for the episode breakdown, man. Now, I gotta tell you, for my first impressions here, it's been a while since I seen an episode of The Simpsons. I'll be honest with you, man. I think everybody can agree that The Simpsons haven't been hitting as good as they used to. As a kid, I used to love collecting the seasons of The Simpsons. I kid you not. I at least have the first 9 seasons of The Simpsons. I'm missing 10, 11, and 12, but I also have season 13. So I've spent some pretty good money, or, well, my parents spent some pretty good money on getting me all those seasons, but I love The Simpsons, and I still do to this day. I love the characters, but their episodes really haven't been good like that. Granted, I haven't been giving them the time of day either, but their episodes are pretty lackluster. I think a majority of people can agree on that. I mean, hell, we're in season 32, man. You can't sit here and tell me that they're going to be the same as season 1 or 2 or even the first 10 seasons. But this episode is a special episode to me. I have goals of wanting to be a teacher myself. I especially like this episode because it deals with Miss Hoover, a character who I don't want to say we don't see that often, but it basically gives us a way into her life to see how she lives her life and why she is such, and excuse my language, a vindictive bitch as she is. I'll talk more about all that in the review portion of this video, but I'm going to get on to the moments of this episode. This episode was filled with a lot of jokes, and I gotta say, man, I just love the Simpsons style of comedy. I'm not going to sit here and say that it has Family Guy beat, because it definitely doesn't. But some of the jokes here were just, at least to me, somewhat on point. They weren't gut bursters as Family Guy's style of comedy is, but there were some good zingers in there. I gotta say, I love the whole aspect of Lisa going to detention too, and all the bully kids were there, like Kearney, Jimbo. I really want to say Nelson was there too. I don't remember seeing Nelson in this episode, but I want to say he was there too. It's detention, man. We're in Springfield Elementary. How can you have detention without Nelson Muntz? What I really love about Lisa's first day in detention is that these kids are basically trying to break Lisa in and bully her in a sense. But Bart, being the big brother, man, he basically steps in and is like, yo, she's with me, man. Leave her alone. And all the kids basically back down. Now, I gotta be honest. During the first seasons of The Simpsons, Bart was basically the kid who got beat up by the bullies. Or rather, I'd say Nelson was the kid who beat up on him. I can't say I really remember Jimbo and Kearney beating up on him too. I'm pretty sure they had their fair share and smacking him up. It was just cool to see him come to his sister aid when she needed him the most and basically get all the kids to back down in a sense. Bart and Lisa always had that sibling rivalry throughout The Simpsons, man. And I'll tell you this. I have a niece and nephew around Bart and Lisa's age. And trust me, that sibling rivalry shit is real. Especially between a brother and sister. They act like they hate each other all the time. But deep down, they really do love each other. Bart and Lisa, as well as my niece and my nephew. Real quick, funny story. My niece and nephew were watching Henry Danger, right? It's a Nickelodeon show, and I came in. I really want to get them into Courage the Cowardly Dog. It's a good cartoon, but I came in there trying to convince them to watch some Courage and whatnot. They were like, nah, man, we don't want to watch it. We don't want to watch it. And it's like, oh, man, come on, man. You guys are being deprived of a good cartoon. But I basically told them, it's like, you know what? It's kind of a rarity that I can see y'all spending time together like this. You guys are doing some bonding. And I topped it off with, you guys really do love each other. And my little nephew's like, no, we don't. No, we don't. We hate each other. It's like, oh, that's cute. That's cute. But it was just really cool to see Bart come to Lisa's aid. And it just made me think of my niece and nephew, man. They love each other just as well as Bart and Lisa love each other. But that sibling rivalry, man, it rears its ugly head at times. So it's just cool to see that. Another interesting moment, too, that I want to point out is the breakfast scene at the beginning of the episode. The Simpsons are known for being fat and unhealthy, especially Bart and Homer. Lisa and Marge are skinny. Obviously, Lisa's a vegetarian. Homer's the king of the castle, so what's going to be eaten is going to be word of law. It's all based on what Homer wants. He wants the unhealthy fried pork chops and beer, and he wants the bacon for breakfast. Marge wants to do something healthy, ends up giving them fruit, and Homer basically gets gravy and starts pouring it on the food. We basically see here that the Simpsons are fat and unhealthy, man. They're pouring gravy on fruit, drinking out of the gravy bowl. It's just disgusting. And like I said, there's a hell of a lot of other comedic moments that I wanted to point out, but those are the first two things that really stood out to me that I want to talk about. Now I want to talk about the whole dynamic between Lisa and Miss Hoover. In some of the earliest seasons of The Simpsons, we get a glimpse at Miss Hoover. We can see, at least I made the assumption, that Miss Hoover is a real bitch, man. She's one of those teachers who you don't want to come across. She's one of those teachers who really hate her job. And I want to become a teacher myself, but how can you become a teacher and just hate your job like that? I get it's not the most fun job. I get at sometimes you just want to just give up on everything, you know? It's not the easy thing being a teacher. So you got to combat with a lot of shit. Bad kids, kids who don't want to listen, bad homework assignments. It's a big mess. But the truth is there are some teachers out there that really hate their job. There's teachers out there, as Homer said later on in the episode, who shouldn't have tenure. Miss Hoover is one of those teachers. Even Lisa said she's an uninspired hack. And you can even see during some of the earlier seasons that Miss Hoover hates Lisa because she is a goody-goody in a sense. She always wants to be a teacher's pet. And that kind of gets under Miss Hoover's skin. And granted, I'm speaking from past knowledge of what I've seen of The Simpsons. Could I be wrong about this? Of course. Could I be misquoting some stuff? Of course. But I'm just going off of what I know. Miss Hoover is not a good teacher. And I will say this. Regardless of what's going on in your personal life, don't let that affect your job. I don't give a damn how bad your life is. Especially if you're working with kids, man. Don't be coming into school acting like a bitch towards kids. Don't be an asshole towards the kids. Because they didn't do nothing to you. They don't deserve how bad you're treating them. They don't deserve you as a teacher putting forth your anger and frustration of what's happening in your personal life onto them. They don't deserve that, man, especially if they're good kids like Lisa. Lisa is an overachiever, unlike her brother. And yeah, she went over her time limit and whatnot. So Miss Hoover gave everyone a B-. Did Lisa deserve a B-? Maybe a B+, because Lisa does take time and putting effort into her projects, which in my opinion warrants a good grade no matter what. Hell, she probably deserves an A-. She went over her time limit. So points got to be deducted somewhere, okay? And my personal belief as someone who aspires to be a teacher is you grade the students based on how hard they worked, the effort and time that they put into assignments. You just don't go around giving people just B- for no damn reason. The only time you probably could and should do that is on homework assignments. If they put the work in, regardless of how good it was, everybody gets 100. Like, that's how it was for me in high school and a lot of other kids who were in high school too. As long as you put forth the effort into assignments, you're gonna get 100 on that shit, yo. It's just a participation activity. Obviously, that being a project activity, obviously people shouldn't be getting the same grades on that, because it's a big thing. And Lisa having the reaction that she had was appropriate to me, honestly. Miss Hoover, although she got upset at that, she is what Lisa said, an uninspired hack. I don't give a fuck how screwed up your life is. You shouldn't be taking that out on the kids who you as a teacher are trying to mold into being the best person that they can be. Miss Hoover should have done that shit better. And the thing that really disgusted me with Miss Hoover is that she wanted to make Lisa's life a living hell. She expected her to apologize, which is all fine and good. She should apologize for that. Lisa didn't, because she totally believed she was in the right, and I will stick with her on that. She was 100% in the right. Maybe she could have said that in a better way. Maybe that's something she could have kept to herself. But she chose to speak her mind in that moment. Me, I'm an average student. I get C's all the time, even in college, man. But in high school, I performed pretty damn good. But I would have just took that B- and rolled with it. Like, damn, all right, that sucks. But Lisa, like I said, felt like she put a lot of time and effort into her project, which warranted a good grade. So she fought for that, which I can give her 100% respect points on. But as I was saying, Miss Hoover was expecting her to apologize, which is all fine and good. She even proceeded to give her detention, which was all fine and good. But after all of that, she still expected Lisa to apologize, which she didn't. But she threatened her future. Lisa even told her, she's like, yo, I'm glad when I go to 3rd grade, so I don't have to deal with you no more. And Miss Hoover says, who knows? I just may go up to 3rd grade just so I can torment you, which was her crossing the line. And that's what makes me a person, as I said numerous times throughout this video, who aspires to be a teacher, not sympathize with her. Why would you say some fucked up ass shit like that, man? That is terrible. That is terrible. But proceeding on, Marge basically gets Lisa into the whole idea of apologizing to Miss Hoover. She opens up that whole prospect for her. Lisa goes out and sees what a hard life Miss Hoover's living. She gets to see how Miss Hoover travels back and forth from the school. She gets to see her go into a gas station, 7-Eleven or whatnot, to buy a lottery ticket, scratches it, breaks her cord, and she's like, man, that's another loss, and basically goes to a rundown ass apartment with a cat who doesn't even fuck with her. Now, really thinking about it from a critical perspective, I will say Lisa basically takes all this in, and she's like, man, I feel so bad for Miss Hoover. And of course, anybody should and would feel bad for a person who's going through shit like that. So she basically takes her own money to buy her a comfortable chair to where she gets to see her students and whatnot. So she gets her this gift, and she presents it to Miss Hoover. And she even apologizes to Miss Hoover. Miss Hoover basically hits her with, yo, sometimes apologies can come too late. The damage is already done. Basically saying, fuck her apology, bro. Fuck her apology. And she says, congratulations, Lisa. You finally learned something from my class. How the hell are we as people or viewers of the show, and I'm talking to the writers here, how are we supposed to sympathize with that? I mean, maybe I could be just being too harsh on this episode. I still think it's a good episode, don't get me wrong. But I just don't like the way that somewhat ended. Even with the scene after that where they try to make everything up by having Miss Hoover upgrade all the students' grades to B minus. I mean B pluses. I see why they did that. It's basically package everything up. But it's just still not good to me, man. Miss Hoover is the antagonist in this episode. And as a good writer, you should want your viewers to somewhat empathize or even sympathize with Miss Hoover. And don't get me wrong, I get that it's Miss Hoover's character to be a bitch, okay? I get that's who Miss Hoover is. And I also get that by having Lisa tell her to basically get a glimpse of her life is the writers wanting to get us to sympathize with her. But to me, it just doesn't work. Because Miss Hoover still, at the end of the day, is a conniving bitch. She wants to make this little 8-9-year-old kid's life a living hell, man. Which, in my opinion, is an irredeemable thing. You can't redeem yourself for that. I'm not going to feel sorry for you for that. I'm glad your life is a living hell. You're a bitch. You deserve every bad thing you get. Lisa is a good kid. Yeah, she wants to be a teacher's pet. Yeah, she tries way too hard sometimes. But still, she deserved to be punished for what she said. Which she did. There's nothing wrong with Miss Hoover wanting or even expecting an apology. There's nothing wrong with her giving her detention. But what really throws it all away for me was that scene where she basically tells Lisa, yo, I can make your life a living hell. I may even be petty enough to go to the 3rd grade just to torment you some more. And Lisa basically hits her with, that's a hack move. And she's right. So in my opinion, Miss Hoover gets every fucking thing she deserves, man. But I'm done going on with my rant, and I'm ready to get into my review portion of this video, man. Like I said, The Simpsons haven't been hitting with any new episodes lately. At least in my opinion. I'm not going to sit here and say that I watch The Simpsons every day, because truthfully I don't, man. It's been a while since I've seen a single episode of The Simpsons. And I found this episode, funny enough, just from wanting to watch The Simpsons, man. I was having a good conversation with a few friends of mine, and we were talking about what a good series The Simpsons was and how it's basically fallen in the past few years. Honestly, more than a few years, to be honest with you. They're not coming out with good episodes. And with 32 seasons, of course, you're going to run out of ideas. But once I saw this episode on this random day that I honestly decided to start watching it again, it was like, yo, this is a pretty good episode. I want to talk about it. I thought it was good. I wasn't watching it from a critical lens the first time I watched it. And since it was a good episode, I really liked it. I said, you know what? I want to review this for the channel. I watched it a second time, and that's where I put on the critical lens and decided to view it again. And I come away with a different opinion. I'm not going to sit here and say that the episode is bad, because it's not. It's an okay episode. And you can even argue that my whole point of the writers not giving us a leg to kind of sympathize with Miss Hoover is a bad move on their part. But you can also say that they were just sticking to her character, man. Miss Hoover, like I said, has always been portrayed to be a bitch who you wouldn't want to support in any way, shape, or form. She's an antagonist. She's the #1 bad guy in this episode. So that little point is always going to be up for debate. I just really hoped or wished that they gave us more of a leg to stand on why we should support Miss Hoover in this episode. I want to feel for Miss Hoover. And just to see that she has a bad, hard life is not enough to do it for me, honestly. Especially if she's torturing her own students, essentially. So I can't agree with that. But I will say this. The point of this episode is still the same. The life of a teacher is rough. They go through some tough things. And I can 100% agree with it. It's not an easy job being a teacher. And sometimes you can lose sight of your passion. Miss Hoover, of course, hates her job. So there's no passion there. But I feel that this episode really, as a viewer, if you're looking at it through a viewer's lens and you see this, you're like, man, maybe I should sympathize with my teacher more. You never know what a rough life they're living. You never know how bad their life is. So have a little sympathy and compassion for your teachers. And in turn, you should hope that they'll have the same thing for you as a student. And most of the times they will. I will say this. I know a lot of teachers. And the likelihood that you'll run into a Miss Hoover is very rare. Oh, it can definitely happen, but it's rare. It's rare. The teachers that I met are very nice and supporting, and of course you will have some dick teachers out there, but I will say a good 7.5 times out of 10, you'll run into a good teacher, man. And there's very rarely any Miss Hoovers out there. My rating for this episode is going to have to be a 7 out of 10, man. This is a good episode of The Simpsons, especially for it being in season 32. And I'm not going to sit here and say that The Simpsons can't come out with good episodes anymore, because that's false. That's false. I'm sure they put out some fire-ass episodes that I haven't seen in the past few seasons. And I will tell you this. After seeing this episode, I do want to get back into watching The Simpsons on a weekly basis on Fox again. I really do. I love The Simpsons. They've been a big part of my childhood. And even as a teenager, I always used to love on Sundays just putting on Channel 32 and just binge watching either The Simpsons or waiting for that episode of Family Guy at 8 o'clock. You know, I love these cartoons. I love Fox cartoons. I love Simpsons. I love Family Guy. I love The Cleveland Show when it came on Sundays. Never really cared much for Bob's Burgers, but I do love The Simpsons, and I want to give it more of a shot. My review for this episode is a good 7 out of 10, man. This has been my review for The Simpsons, Season 32, Episode 9, Sorry Not Sorry, man. Y'all know who it is. It's the cartoon kid, Ray Rollins, your average cartoon-loving homie. Tell me what you think of this episode, man. Tell me if you liked it. Tell me if you hated it. Tell me what you would rate it. And check out some of the other videos that I got coming up here on the screen, or that's on my channel, man. Until next time, I'll see y'all when I see y'all. Peace out, everybody.